Hello friends, it's Kristine Vicente with Queen City Stamp Art, and I'm back again today with another quick and easy card to share with you, this time using the Forever Friendship stamp set. This stamp set is brand new in the July to December mini catalog that I'm featuring this week and showing you some extra goodies from. And this one can be found on page 66 of the new mini catalog from Stampin' Up. If you don't have a copy of this catalog and you would like one, and you don't already have a demonstrator, I'd be very happy to be your demonstrator. Just shoot me a message. You can email me or connect with me at queencitystampart@gmail.com, and I'd be happy to put one in the mail to you. So this stamp set can be found on page 66, and it's really cute. It has some fun little images and some very humorous sentiments with it. And I just wanted to show you a really easy card that you can make using the typewriter image. We're going to be doing a little bit of watercoloring today, and so I'm using a piece of Shimmery White cardstock from the annual catalog. This paper, although you can't see it on camera, it does have a very light, glittery sort of texture to it. And Stampin' Up! Recommends you use this with watercolor when it's very light because it's sort of coated, I think, and it holds up really well with the watercoloring if it's light watercoloring. So I won't be using watercolor paper today. I'm using this Shimmery White cardstock, but I think you'll like how it comes out. So we're also going to be using two different black ink pads. Now the reason for this is Stazon ink pads are waterproof. So it's a solvent ink pad. You can stamp this on non-porous surfaces and have it, remain intact. You can use it for watercoloring and have the lines of your image maintain their integrity. They won't wash out or bleed. With Memento ink, this is a dye-based ink, and although it works great with alcohol markers and it doesn't bleed much with those, it bleeds terrible with watercolor. So I can't really use this for my watercolor on this particular card because the image is small, the details are very fine, and I want to maintain that integrity. So I'm going to be using my Stazon ink pad. However, my Stazon ink pad is a little bit dry. It really needs to be re-inked, but I really like the light image you get when you stamp with it at this stage of dryness. So I don't want to re-ink it at this point. So I'm going to use Memento for the sentiment, and I'm going to use the Stazon for the image itself. And we're going to get into some of the watercoloring in just a sec. So I'm going to use the sentiment and the Memento ink pad, and I'm just going to stamp that on here. Let's see if I can get this straight. Good, there we go. And then I'm going to stamp out the typewriter image. And it even has a little extra plastic covering, but it's still dried out. But like I said, I actually like the level of dryness it's at right now. It's not too bold. And when you're watercoloring, that actually is kind of a cool thing. So I'm going to put this about here. It's not quite straight, so I'm going to flip it. Try it again. The image on the rubber of this stamp set is not straight, and so it's a little bit hard to, it's a tiny bit hard to line up. Much better. Okay, so I'm just going to cover this now so it doesn't lose any more moisture. And set that aside. And now we're going to get into some of the watercoloring. So normally I like to water paint or watercolor with my water painter brushes because they have this nice reservoir full of water and you can kind of squeeze them gently to control the amount of water flow. But in this card, because it's so small and I'm really only doing a tiny bit of watercoloring, I'm using a regular paintbrush. This is a number 6 round that I got at my local craft store. And it's a beautiful brush. It's a little sable brush, and it's a perfect size for most of the stamp art watercoloring I do. And so I'm going to be using this little brush and a little bit of water. And I'm going to be using my ink pads, of course, as my color palette. So I'm going to give that Coastal Cabana pad a little squeeze and use this as my color palette for the actual typewriter. So I'm going to load my brush with a little bit of water, not a lot, just a little. And I'm going to just kind of brush it off a bit on my hand. And then I'm going to pick up a little bit of the color. Now, I don't want a lot of water on this because the paper isn't really meant for it. And I just want to add a very light coating of coloring onto this typewriter, just to give it sort of a hint of color. And this works really, really well with this paper and, you know, with a little paintbrush. Now you can certainly use a water brush. You may even be a more skilled watercolorist than I am, certainly. And so use whatever you're comfortable with and whatever you have in stock. But if you have a little water brush or you're having trouble with water brushes, you might want to try just a plain paintbrush and see how that goes for you. Sometimes there's a little bit more control. So I'm just doing sort of the main parts of the typewriter. And you see, I'm not using much color at all. I'm just kind of picking up a little bit on the tip of my paintbrush off the ink pad here. And coloring it in. And I'm just going to leave the keys the way they are. I'm not even going to color the keys. So I'm just going to leave it like this. Yeah, just like that. And now I'm just going to kind of rinse my brush off a little bit. And I'm going to move on to the pink. And I'm just going to use a tiny bit of pink as well, just to color in the, just to pounce a little bit of color onto the heart where it says thank you. So the word thank you is typed out over and over again in a little heart shape on this little piece of paper here. It's very cute. And it kind of matches up with the sentiment. I just can't thank you enough. So I'm just adding a tiny bit of pink color. I don't want to really overdo it here. I'm just doing it very lightly like that. And that's perfect. That's exactly what I wanted it to look like. So that's kind of the coloring. So very, very gentle, very easy coloring, super simple. I really feel like anybody could do this. And now we're going to put the card together. So I'm using a panel of designer series paper from the Hues of Happiness bundle. It's the one that has all these flowers and everything in it. In fact, the other side of this are some of those flowers. And we're going to put this down first on our card base. So I'll start by folding this in half. I'm doing a top folding card base. So this measures 11 by 4 1/4, and I scored it at 5 1/2. And now I'm going to lay this 5 1/2 by 4 1/4 inch panel of paper on the front, just like that. And this will pick up the polished pink that I used on the ink for the heart and for the sentiment. And then I'm going to mat this piece with just a piece of regular basic white cardstock. It just gives it a tiny bit more finish. And I like how that looks. And then we're going to pop this up with some dimensional adhesive. Just like this. There we go. And then we're going to add a little fishtail banner end to this sentiment. And I'm going to pop this little panel up too. And then to finish this one off, I think I'm just going to add a couple of basic rhinestone gems. Probably just a couple of these little baby ones. Yeah, just like that. And that's kind of it for today. So I just wanted to give you a cute example of a fun little stamp set that, you know, you may not be able to find many examples of right now because it's so early in the new catalog season. But this is such a cute little card, and I really love this stamp set. It's also very non-holiday because I know a lot of you are really, really struggling with the whole idea of Christmas this early in the year. It's just getting to be summer here in the United States. And so I just wanted to share a fun card that you could use that would be kind of holiday and that you might enjoy. This is just a really fun stamp set. I'm sure I'll be using this for some of my clean and simple Sunday videos. and just wanted to give you kind of a sneak peek of it right now, and also show you how our holiday catalog product does coordinate beautifully with a lot of the products that are in the annual catalog. So you make sure you consider that whenever you're picking something out. If it doesn't seem like there's anything that goes or whatever, just make sure you take a look at the annual catalog too, because when I was looking for some designer series paper for this card, I thought this worked perfectly, and it's not from the mini catalog, it's from the annual catalog, but it works great. So thanks so much for watching today, and have a wonderful day.